Hey, Hosers Maybo in here, and we are having a show tonight on troubles we've had waiting to transition through wait times or through gatekeeping or even through not feeling like we're ready to transition. Anything like that we can bring up. Um, Today we had a couple of people not be able to make it, but we have our co host Kaden and
Hi.
we have Brittany and Laura as well.
Hello.
Okay, so Laura and I are going to have a lot to say on this. Do you have anything to say on the subject, Kaden?
Right now, actually, not that much. I live in the U.S., so I'm fortunate enough to not really have to deal too much with waiting. Um, when I first got on HRT, it was through like a semi-informed consent model, which I thought was, helpful and good. My main issue has basically been just accessing the money to transition versus like just waiting and being on a wait list.
Okay, hang on a sec. We just have a bit of echo.
I know that Laura has a lot to talk about, and I know that you do as well.
Yeah.
I do. The only thing that I have to talk about are like I did have some waiting lists going on, but I had more places to shop around.
Yeah.
I had more to like.
There's probably a little bit of an echo, so I'm just going to have to fix that. Sorry.
Not picking anything up so far.
It's probably going through YouTube, but not through Zoom. So just give me 2 seconds. Okay, there shouldn't be any more echo anymore. Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying that I was going through different clinics and doctors and with waiting lists, like because when I told my general practitioner at my at the place that my family sees for a while, is that she referred me to an endo, and that endo had wasn't seeing new patients for like many months. So while it wasn't like an official waiting list, a lot of it is like when doctors will be willing to like see new patients or taking new patients rather.
I think the real difference between the US and the UK is because you've got a basically a health insurance system. You're a customer, whereas for me, I'm a patient. And so, when you're a customer, it's you get what you want. It's get what you pay for. Unfortunately, if you can't pay for it, it limits what you can get. Whereas in the UK, healthcare is free to the point of use, effectively, and as a result, there's a waiting list, and because of the gatekeeping system, and it's a lengthy gatekeeping system, it means you've got. I mean, I've got an extraordinary waiting time. I mean, oh gosh, it's changed since then. I'm going to screen share the Leeds Gender Identity Clinic webpage.
Okay, and it seems to kind of work. Our system here in Canada seems to kind of work like the U.S. one in a lot of ways. We're a little bit closer for trans people, but we are also like universal healthcare. So everything the I guess everything the government can pay for, they can afford to pay for, they will. But we also have there's a lot of things that aren't covered that probably should be, but we don't have, I don't have to go to a gender clinic or anything and have like massive wait times. Although I will talk about a friend who I'm not going to name's experience trying to get through that as well a bit, because she had some trouble. So would you put that back up again, Laura?
Oh yeah.
So you haven't started hormones yet. How long of a wait time are you looking for? Or are you looking at?
Well, when I So I went to see my doctor in December, and asked him to refer me to a general identity clinic. That happened within a couple of weeks. Um, my and then it's like, and so they sent me a letter and they said we're going to give you, we're going to phone you up for a screening call, which is to get rid of the time wasters. And by time wasters, I mean, the people who are sort of curious but aren't really sure at that point. So it's like, what does he want? Well, I don't really know. Well, have a think about it and get in contact when you're a bit more certain, that kind of thing. So, um, in February, I asked how, sorry, I was given, it was basically like a checklist. Do you drink? Do you smoke? How much do you weigh? Things like that. And of course, one of the things that I've been doing is I've been losing weight because I didn't want to give them any excuse to turn me down to make that waiting list any longer. So, so I was told the waiting list was 18 months from the point of referral,
Oh,
which puts it about approximately May next year. And if we look here, so thanks to people being more accepting, things like pride and, how well people seem to be fine with it, LGBT people these days. So it says, uh, sorry, and TV people, that you'll get a TV show and they've got a gay character or a transgender character, and so it's becoming more acceptable. As a result, the amount of people who need the help, that have been sitting on it for years, like me, 20 years, I spent comfortable with who I was, but the idea of actually transitioning was like, yeah, what will my mum think? What will the neighbours think? What will friends and colleagues and strangers on the street think? Um, so, and it says here,
I did go through some of that myself. I I have a trans friend who I knew before I came out that really helped, and the fact that my work is extremely LGBT friendly, that a lot.
yeah. So it says at the moment, it says, in line with other GIC services, general identity clinic services across the country, there's an increase in demand with rising numbers of people expressing uncertainty about their gender. Nationally, there's a shortage of appropriately trained personnel, which in part plays into the long waits of people in Leeds and across the country are experiencing. To put this into perspective, we're funded to support 27 referrals per month. We actually receive over 100. We know this is far from ideal for people, and we're sorry that for any anxiety this may cause, which is a euphemism for I know some of you are suicidal, but we apologize. Um, in the meantime, we published some information called Other Sources of Help for people who are either struggling with their gender identity issues or might be on a waiting list further down this page. It currently takes between 3 to 4 years from the initial referral to complete our care pathway. The following is a broad overview of our gender identity care pathway. Please note it is an estimate guide. There are many factors that could affect this, and it will not be the same for everybody. Initial screening time is currently taking place approximately 8 weeks after referral received from a person's GP. First assessment with the lead professional is currently taking place approximately 29 to 30 months from the date of initial referral.
Dang.
We currently have 1,712 people on the waiting list, and bear in mind their funding is for 27.
like, so it's about funding? Like, is it like a
Oh
money
yeah.
problem?
Well,
It's a combination of funding and of people that are trained in gender identity issues. So gender
Can't they
psychiatrists.
expand capacity a little bit?
Yeah.
Like,
Not only there's a threefold problem going on. So one of them is like say this, that they've got more people wanting help. Second one is that It comes under mental health. Gender dysphoria, comes under the mental health type stuff. As a result, the NHS, it's one of the most least resourced and funded parts of the NHS. You got a heart condition, you got breast cancer, it's quick, it's good. But for mental health stuff, I mean, I have Asperger's. I went to the hospital mental health department and had just went for a little talk with someone there, and they wanted to know what it is I wanted, and I explained, well, I want to go to a centre that diagnose Asperger's. Well, we don't do that, I was told, and we don't have the funding to to do it either. And he explained that basically, unless you're showing signs of psychosis, so unless you're chasing someone down the street with a large axe or a carving knife or something, at which point the police get hold of you and they lock you in a room and fill you full of drugs. Unless you're in that kind of mental state, they really don't have the funding. They don't have the resources to help.
Wow.
And so,
That's
as
like
a result, the private sector, as in like charities and things like that, they're the ones that help people out.
Wow.
it's like it just seems like, I don't know, like,
I
is
think
it like
there's
just like austerity
Well,
and just like,
that's the third one as well. That was the third point. We currently have an austerity government
yeah,
that is, we've basically got a huge amount of debt because we have had two wars going on, like America. We've had two wars going on, and they're trying to save as much as possible.
Right, exactly. So what's the point of even having a national healthcare system if it's going to be underfunded to the point where it can't deliver the services that it needs to keep
Yeah.
people healthy? It's just like the US system in all but name only, at least when it comes to mental health, because it's just not funded and people can't access it.
Yeah.
it's not that much. It's honestly not that much better here. We have mental health services, but I just people have even tried. Uh, People have had doctors wrote notes written saying this is necessary for this patient to have facial feminization surgery or a boob job or something. And our provincial health system here in Ontario has just refuses to do anything. It's really rough for it's really rough for people getting surgery. Because like they're like, no, hair removal is purely cosmetic. But it's like, no, we can't get surgery before we have the hair removal, so we have to spend a fair amount of money on hair removal.
yeah.
So
Well, if I can finish off the rest of this, because
oh yeah, go ahead, sorry.
So so 29 to 30 months from the initial referral, we currently have 1,712 people on the waiting. Then there's a 16 to 18-month wait for the end of assessment, medical opinion, and diagnosis. We currently have 598 people on the waiting list. The current waiting time for the hormone clinic is approximately 14 to 16 months after diagnosis. We currently have 159 people on the waiting list. So I'm going to stop the screen share for that now.
That is really horrible.
So discouraging. And so I'm wondering, like,
why
420 people in the UK, like, what other options would they have aside from waiting? Is it
go private
system? Could they go to a different country and get what they need? Like, what options would they have?
Okay, options in the UK are there's private transgender clinics that you can go to, and I have heard I recorded the conversation so they can't screw me over later. I phoned up Leeds to say, okay, look, when I was told my waiting list was going to be 18 months for the first appointment, and it's now saying 27 to 29 months. Now it's saying 29 to 30 months. what's the state of play for me? I mean, is it still going to be 18 months, or she said yes, it's we expect it to be 18 months for you, because it's effectively the numbers that are now shown are what it's like if you're a new patient. Now, I also was told, and I was really irritated by it, that so I thought the system worked something like this: you go to GP, you say, I'd like you to refer me to a general hygienic clinic. You go to where you know they do the screening call thing like it's happened, and then you wait your time, and then you see a a gender psychiatrist or whatever they are, and you know you talk about stuff for about an hour, and then they say, okay, come back for another appointment. We'll get in touch, and that's like a year or so later. It was 10 to 14 months, I was told. So, and then maybe you wait for that time, and then you speak to them again, and they say, yeah, either come back again, or yes, you've got gender dysphorias. If I don't already know this, of course. And then, a bit like a video game, that's when it unlocks stuff. That's when you can get uh, voice training. Uh, that's when you can get laser hair removal, and of course hormones, and then later on, any gender reassignment type stuff. Now, when I spoke to them about a month and a half, 2 months ago, I was told that no, that's not how it works. You speak to a nurse. You don't see a gender psychiatrist. You see a nurse. It's basically a triage system.
Wow.
And when they think you're ready, then so after a couple of appointments, when they think you're ready, they will then decide, yes, you're now ready to go see the gender psychiatrist.
Wow. So then I have a question. Like, why can't they just have GPs do a lot of this work to cut down on the waiting time at the GIC? Like, why can't a general practitioner handle like the basic evaluation and the start of treatment?
Why can't they just have it informed consent? Like
I
my
agree.
GP
I mean,
is handling
they're looking
everything.
to change that. Unfortunately, the turfs are sort of, because it's like, oh well, you can you can self-identify, and then things can happen. But no, they don't like the idea of that. But that's a different topic completely.
Yeah.
What effectively the problem is that it's highly medicalized. Because it's highly medicalized, and it's the National Health Service. They've got they have two things that they have to think about. Number one is they are a service, so they don't want to get into a position where they basically assisted someone in fucking up their life because they've been withholding stuff, or and then they get transition and they realize, oh shit, I screwed up my life, and then they end up jumping off a building or jump in front of a train or something, take a load of pills, etc.
But we already have people doing that for
but they got to
not getting the service.
Oh yeah. So they've got to protect the patient from themselves, effectively, from injuring themselves. And then also, so they also spend a lot of money on you. So it'd be wasted money if they screw it up, and they'd be responsible, and they don't want to be responsible.
Okay.
So it's about liability, basically, is what you're basically saying. It's about liability.
It's about liability and turfism.
Yeah.
The other thing as well, and this is where my voice is a bit crazy, and this is where Kaden and I are different. So in the UK, although we've got this lengthy, gatekeeping, red tape all over the place system, being poor isn't a barrier to transitioning like it is in America. If you're poor, well, tough. I mean, you get what you pay for in the American system.
Mm.
Now, the
I'd
other
like
question I was asked, yeah, go on. Sorry.
I like to say, like, it's like if you have insurance, and depending on what kind of insurance you get, it's like like for me, my hormones are actually free because my insurance actually covers the cost of prescription meds, and but and because my insurance is through Medicaid, so I have like it's really cheap. When I started, I paid like $1 for each, and if I didn't have insurance, you know how much I would have paid for um my estradiol and spironolactone?
Uh, $25 for the Spyro. About 18 to 25 for the estrogen.
It was, I think, like collectively they're about like $81, $82.
I'm just going. I'm
Yeah,
just
that's what it.
going by what I
Like
would have
both.
paid for my estrogen, and what I would have paid for Spyro if I was on it with a bit of a markup, or the difference in. I'm paying if my work currently pays 80%, plus some half of this dispensary fee or something like that. I would be paying. Okay, my estrogen patches are $80 for a month's supply. My progesterone, currently on 100 milligrams, is $60 for a month's supply. And I'm going to be doubling that soon. Yay. And my Cypro is like 35, but I'm paying 8. But I'm also having the Cypro because my testosterone was stupidly low, and progesterone also blocks. So we're kind of trying to make room for the progesterone. Um, So now I'm paying like 4 or something a month because effectively I've halved the amount I'm on. But I will probably less than half. I'll probably change that. I'm waiting to get on the full dose of progesterone for that to see where everything stabilizes, and then fixing my blockers. I'm not complaining with being on less blockers right now. Let me tell you that.
So
So
I
yeah.
did have a question for Laura then, because I don't know if you fully addressed this, but so say that someone is in the UK, they're trans, and they don't want to wait for the NHS, and they can't afford private.
Then they
Is
have to
there
wait for.
any kind of a third option, like going to France or going to Ireland or something like that to get trans?
Yes, there are options. One of them is just to DIY, do it yourself. So
Yeah,
basically, you go on the internet and you buy some hormones,
that's not
and
even an option here.
there's a lot of people that do it because the waiting list is just ridiculous.
No.
The other one is there are private gender identity clinics, and the cost of them is a lot less than I realised. I mean, I was expecting to cost like £10,000 or something crazy,
Yeah.
There's something called Sparkle that goes on every year. It's a UK transgender charity, and they have like an event in Manchester, and thankfully it's 6.5 miles away, so that's fantastic. And I went this year, and there was a private gender identity clinic there, London Gender Identity Clinic, they're called. And I, just curious, I thought, is it like window shopping, looking at all the stuff you can't afford.
Mm-hmm.
I just asked what their prices were like, and I was surprised at how cheap it was.
Mhm.
For so effectively, the system works roughly like this: you pay about £300, about $400, I'd say, um, uh, to to see the gender psychiatrist, who will then say, yes, you've got gender dysphoria. I mean, I wonder how easy it is because, again, a bit like as I mentioned before, um, the American insurance system, you're a customer, you get what you pay for. So, am I going there to be told, yes, that's good for you, or no, that's bad for you, or I don't know. But basically, so you pay £300 to see the £250 to £300 to see the gender psychiatrist,
Mhm.
and then when they say yes, you then see the hormone nurse who basically does the blood tests and figures out what's going to be the right dosage for you, and then it's like 60 quid to write a letter to your doctor to say these are the, your GP, these are the recommended dosages and these are the types you should use, etc., etc. And
So then,
then after you've done that, it's £100 per session for every 6 months for about 2 years. So you're looking at about 1,000, 1,200, maybe 1,500 at the most.
that's
which-
expensive, but not as expensive as I was thinking.
It's a little pricey, yeah, but it's like if I were to if I didn't have insurance, I would probably be paying more than that.
Indeed.
Although
course,
like Planned Parenthood, like they try to like service you even if you don't have insurance, and try to, because one time my parents' insurance lapsed, so that's why I had my record for a while, and so they were telling me like, oh, you should do this, so I had to like pay like one appointment out of pocket, and it wasn't too bad, and my hormones were pay out of pocket. But then I went to the pharmacy and showed them my other insurance and ran that through, and they refunded the difference.
nice.
So basically, I got a $79 refund
Okay, that's good.
because they're like $1 each for although now they're like, it's switched to like, now my insurance is like for free, like medication's free, and I don't get co-pays because I'm my Medicaid. Like Medicaid, my state Medicaid plan says I can't, says doesn't covers co-pays for me. However, not all places do take it. I mean, it hasn't been a hassle for me for like hormone care, but for other facets of care, like trying to find a therapist was a hassle for me.
Wow. So
Like-
I had a question. Not to cut you off, Whitney. I hope I didn't cut you off.
I was about finished, but I was saying it's like it's been a hassle. So like insurance is really like, my opinion, the biggest like problem with American healthcare. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
whether you can afford it or not, or if you have it, not all doctors do take it, so you kind of have to shop around.
So
That's just different.
So my question for Laura then would be, if someone does decide to go down the DIY route, what sorts of issues might come up for them, like safety issues, legal issues?
Legally, there's nothing they can do you for screwing yourself. However, there is the safety issue, because obviously you can't just say, "Oh, I'm just going to take these pills," because sometimes they'll work for some people and not others. So, and dosages can vary as well. And
Yeah.
then you've got the problem of impatience. For example, let's say someone who's really obsessed by having boobs, and they end up taking too much in a short amount of time, thinking, well, if I take a lot quickly, then they'll grow quicker, won't they?
Yeah.
Things like that. So they're, it could screw up your kidneys, or, liver, or, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know about the, about hormones and blood clots and deep vein thrombosis and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
If you've got someone who's morbidly obese and they end up taking something like that, well, clogged arteries and blood clots are a really bad combination.
Exactly, because it could be fatal. And so we have people doing something that is unsafe because they have no medical supervision and no medical advice. And it puts them in danger. But at the same time, if they just do nothing,
well, medical advice
it could be bad enough that it just takes them down.
Well,
so
medical advice isn't that hard to come across, and I know a couple of people who've been fortunate enough that their GPs will do blood tests and stuff for them. They just can't touch anything with the hormones. So if you're lucky in that position, then you can just get like the Sherborne or Rainbow Health guidelines or something like that, which is what we use here in Canada.
I think,
and it basically
only
tells
way
you
to pull
what
it off,
to do.
DIYing is like, you have to do is that don't forgo your own research. This is like something that should be like, it should just be like like do your own research first, because if you're acting as your own, like, like pharmacist or chemist, you probably have to act as your own doctor and do all the research too.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, like if I said like, oh well, like I know if I said my dosage right now is 6 milligrams of estradiol a day, 100, so 100 of spironolactone a day, the anti-androgen, and now I'm also on 100 milligrams a day for progesterone, which I take at night because it makes you really sleepy. And that's what they told me.
It does. I can 100% guarantee you. It
Yeah,
makes you sleep.
Indeed.
and yeah, they tell me that's like it's best to take it to vary it out at different times of day, so like morning or evening,
Mhm.
and so and they said like, oh, you can take the 2 pills of estradiol in the morning and one at evening. Although the pharmacy said like, oh, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and one at night. But I don't do that. I just take two at once.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
it's
what
like
I
one
did.
after.
I
Not
well,
like
I took both of mine at the same time. When I took my Cypro when I was on pills, but I got on patches instead because taking Cypro and this is something that my doctor didn't even know. Taking cyproterone and oral estrogen actually gives you um, it's actually both very hard on the liver and it increases your chances for a thrombosis, especially in the brain. So I'm like,
Oh,
okay,
no.
we're going to fix my dosage and then I'm going to go on patches. Um, so yeah, now I'm on the patch equivalent of 4 milligrams. 6.5 milligrams of 6.25 milligrams of Cypro a day now. 100 milligrams of progesterone.
hmm,
Indeed.
Now, Kaden asked about other safety stuff, the DIY stuff. So as was as May referred to, um, doctors will do blood tests for safety reasons. It's a safety net basically. Some will. I know one person whose doctor doesn't like the whole transgender stuff, so as a result, they won't do it. I've said you need to get a different doctor then, because at the end of the day, your doctor is there for you, not for their needs. It's for your needs. And if they
Our
don't want to provide for your needs, what's safe for you, then why would you want to be with that doctor? Is it just because they're the nearest? I'd rather take a trip. I'd rather take a half-hour journey on a train to get to a doctor that gives a shit.
a friend of
You know.
mine has had a bit of a problem with that because her doctor refused to provide HRT for her.
Yeah.
Um, just outright refused. She tried a few times. Um, and she got sent to the trans care clinic. Um, because they're supposed to help, like they're supposed to handle transition stuff, which yes, they are supposed to do that, but they're also there for the intent of training doctors and nurses to do it themselves. Because there was no one who would do it here at all. A lot of people actually had to go to Toronto. There was one doctor who started doing it, Lokanathan, and she was just a, not an endo or anything. She was just a GP, but she started doing informed consent for people, and then we got the trans care clinic because there wasn't enough services and there was people being denied, and not everybody here has a doctor even because our healthcare system has a shortage of doctors and nurses. Um, so she got lucky actually, and someone was a friend of ours actually, a mutual friend who goes there because he's not from here. Uh, so um, he gave the appointment to her, and she went. She actually got my doctor, who I don't go to the trans care clinic. I have my own nurse practitioner, who's been my basically been my doctor for 5 or 6, maybe 7 years now. Um, and she actually works in the trans care clinic, and my friend actually got her. Now she's really good, but you're not always expected to get the same person. So, like she was trying to get on in like last like she was trying to get on hormones in June or July of 2018, working through her doctor. Um, and she was still trying that when I first met her in January, and uh, she's been on blockers for about 5 weeks, and she's and it's going to be another couple of weeks before they can free up enough time to give her another appointment to start estrogen. So that's kind of a problem here. It uh, just not as much, but our GPs are actually supposed to be handling this. Um, and we're trying to get laws put in where they can't refuse. And they get support. There's a trans care healthcare hotline where there are people who talk on the phone to doctors and everything all day. Um, that could be expanded as well. So it's like there's a lot of resources for doctors. So there's that at least.
I started to allude to something I was saying earlier, but I kind of went off the topic. So, if you remember, I said that I recorded the conversation to the Leeds General Identity Clinic because someone told me that if I went private, that they assume that you've got enough money to go private for the whole thing, including surgery and all those sorts of things. So I basically phoned them up and asked them as a part of the what's going on with the waiting list for me. And I asked if I go private, will they still see me? And they said yes. And I was a bit fairly precise about what I meant by will they see me. So and it's more this waiting list for hormones. I'm looking at 4 years, approximately 4 years,
That's ridiculous.
just to get
That's
hormones.
that's unacceptable. I think it's unacceptable that it took my friend like almost over 6 months.
Yeah, and bear in mind, I'm 45 years old. So I'll be 49 approximately by the time I've got hormones.
Yeah.
It'll take another year or two for any, hormone changes to take place and so on. I mean, I'm going to be 50 years old.
And that's going to be, well, it'll take, changes will start very soon, but age is a factor.
Breast growth, things of that nature,
Well, I've apparently gone from like a half an A to a B in 8 months, in well, I guess 9 months now. So,
which is getting close to a year.
Yep. Yeah, I'm getting close to a year.
I'm like just over 6 months.
But like I also have a very big torso, right? So,
Yeah, like
they are really spread out. They're effectively an A cup. Are you alright,
yeah, they're
Kaden?
definitely mine's definitely an A for sure. Although I'm kind of wearing the one that's like pushes up a little, so it makes it a little bit bigger. But it's definitely an A.
I can't find anything like that that fits me.
I feel a little bit weird now because I just said something, and next thing you know, I've got Brittany fondling herself to. Yeah.
I mean, we do compare. We do compare breath, right?
Yeah. The other thing which relates to what Kaden asked earlier about going DIY, there are a lot of people that go to Thailand for surgery because it's cheap there.
Medical
And
tourism.
they've done so many of them that they're good at it. So, the cost of getting an aeroplane 2/3 across the planet, for a surgery, and the surgery doesn't cost so much, is cheaper than like I say, sitting on waiting lists and things like that.
Yeah,
So
I don't have an option of where I'm going to go, so
yeah.
due to the nature of my surgery,
Mm.
Mhm.
there's only a few surgeons who'll do it, and the one who I have chosen is apparently one of the better surgeons at anything, at any type of GRS. So yeah, I'm going to San Francisco, and it's going. My surgery will be covered by my government, but it's going to cost me an arm and a leg, just to fucking stay in San Francisco for a month.
Well,
It's going to be hard.
at
It's
least
going to
it's
be
not
expensive.
literally an arm and a leg.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, like, because I heard that like some bottom surgeries use like skin grafts, and they take from like I know that's super common with phalloplasty.
Yeah, they take it from here
Mm-hmm.
because
Or
that's
a
very
leg.
sensitive skin, or the leg. But they usually Montreal usually does it here, and that's who does stuff here. Um, there was actually because I'm getting a non-binary surgery. I had researched it before, but they all the people used skin grafts from the thigh, and I'm like, ew, no, I don't want that. It's not going to do
The
anything.
first time I heard something like this, they used like the scrotal tissue.
They do that too, but there it depends how much there is.
Mm-hmm.
But they do that with penal inversion, right? Um,
Well, it wasn't a penal version because the penis was still there, but it
yes,
was.
yes, yes. But they keep using as much. Like you only have a limited amount, right? So um, yeah. But no, they use that and some thigh skin, and I'm like, no, no skin grafts, no. But the one I'm getting is a peritoneal pull through. So,
Now
um,
the weird. I actually met a trans man uh, at the Sparkle weekend. He's written a book, and he was
oh,
doing like talking about it and book signings and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, what's in this tent? And there's a bunch of seats and things. And he finished his talk or whatever. But so I just had a chance to chat with him and his wife, and and I was, I asked a rather personal question. And I said, look, I'm going to ask it. I'm going to ask this. I'd like to ask a question. If you don't want to say, if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine, obviously, because I didn't want to embarrass him or, talk about, it's kind of like, um, it's the old thing about, do you really ask someone intimate details about their genitals and what they're doing or what they've had done with it? No, this just isn't the kind of thing you talk about
Yeah.
in polite society. So I asked him. I said, you know, um, I asked him a question, and I basically asked. I said, well, um, you've got a wife. How do you, uh, how do you get an erection? If you know, how does that work? If you're having sex or something. And he explained this wonderful thing. It's basically he's got a bag where inside he had a womb and cervix and all ovaries and all that kind of stuff. All the innards had been removed. All the female sexual organs had been removed, and he has a bag um, in his uh, in his abdomen, and he's got a big chunk of his arm missing, which is where they've made the phalloplasty, is it? I think it's called.
yeah, it'd be a
Um,
phalloplasty.
and inside the phallus, he's got a space like you'd have the blood vessels, the blood tanks, how males get erections. And if he wants to have sex, he basically pumps in the side. He's got like a pump in his abdomen, and he just squeezes like one of those dolls that when you squeak it makes noises or something like that. Or it's got a noise generator in it. You just squeeze it and it makes noise. Well, he's got a pump, and he just pumps it up.
Yep.
How cool is the world that
Manual
that
erections.
exists? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I'm still an automatic, but it happens still, but way less often because it's hormones.
Yeah,
But
I'm 100% manual right now. It's
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of frustrating. I don't know. No, it's not frustrating. That's not the word I'm looking for. Um, it's kind of sad that trans women seem to take over the trans discussions.
Indeed, indeed.
And there are plenty of trans men around. And I think, you know, how there's the whole LGBT, and a lot of people seem to, would seem to prefer that the T is silent.
mhm.
yeah.
Could you imagine if you're a trans man? You
Yeah,
know,
so finally,
the turfs obsess about trans women,
A lot of
and
it
the
is
TV obsesses about trans women and what trans women have to go through and things like that. But they hardly ever mention trans men at all.
exactly.
It's because
Thing,
um
like, as someone who, like, not to cut you off, May, I wanted to get this in. So I'm not a trans man, but I am non-binary, and I'm not trans feminine. And I've experienced this when I've gone to like trans support groups, and it's just been trans women and me, and I felt out of place. Like, and that's one thing that I've noticed as well, is that when the media talks about trans people, when TORFs talk about trans people, when anyone talks about trans people, it's always trans women and trans femmes. And people like me are just not even thought to exist, I think, in
yeah.
trans men.
I definitely am in a position of just like, I mean, like a lot of it is like trans misogyny. Like
yeah.
they're trans men. Like, I mean, they do get erasure isn't erasure is a problem too, and like non-binary erasure is even, I'd say even more, because I think people around my area, they get that trans women are women and trans men are men. They probably heard more about trans women than men because again of like how a lot of it is like centered around like this trans misogynistic disgust response that trans folks
It's
seem to have.
it's um it's basically, going back to all men, or anyone, however you want to say it, all people who are born with a penis basically are nothing but sex hound fetishes and
Hmm.
all of that bullshit that,
Mhm.
really,
Like
it's a really bad stereotype.
like considering how much like Dr. Blanchard first made up like theories of autogynephilia, but he only posited autoandrophilia to be balanced and not sexist.
Okay.
Exactly, and that's what it was. It was just about balance.
I
But
don't even know what
But
that is.
one
science
thing
doesn't work that way.
No,
Who is that? I don't know
Blanchard
who that is.
Blanchard. Oh,
and
Blanchard is bullshit.
He's
AA
a transphobic crank. He's a American psychologist who made this crank theory that trans women are transitioning because of a fetish, or that they're gay men wanting to have sex with more men, and that becoming a woman is the only way to have sex with more men.
I would screw
But
him
I
over, but
do
because
woman,
uh,
and the odd man, but mostly
uh,
woman.
yeah, I would screw him over because I'm asexual. Well, like, what's that got to do with?
Exactly.
also ace, so I totally
Yeah.
get that. I mean, I'm not a trans woman though, but
So we
Yeah.
have two people who are pretty much mostly into feminine presenting people, women, whatever you want to say, and two people who are asexual. Yay!
two people.
That's 0% of the people in that have anything to do with anything Kurt said.
Yeah, all we need
Yeah.
now is a trans man, and we'd be sorted. We've got the whole damn thing.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Mark said he had to work. Mathblade.
Hmm.
So, yeah, and back onto the subject, I'd like to share my couple of little things. I talked about it sometimes, but I first tried to transition in 2000 and somewhere between June 2005 and June 2007, probably probably 2005 or probably um sometime before November 2005 or sometime during the summer. It basically wasn't winter. Um, it might have been 2006 though, but I think it was no, I think it was 2005. Um, where yeah, just the gatekeeping against like non-binary people and the fact that my dysphoria is really weird and I don't suffer any social dysphoria whatsoever. Basically got me told that, you know, I'm not dysphoric enough to be trans, go away. Before I even like got to see a psychiatrist or anything. Um, and you know, life was a thing for me then. It's not anymore. I grew out of life for the time being. But yeah, that turned me off for maybe 8 years, and then for the other 6 years, I've been um, in position where I would not have been able to safely transition, or if at all. Um, so, like living with an extremely homophobic person, who is violent and has um, conditions that basically make it worse, and self medicates on everything but the medication he's supposed to be on. So if he even knew that I was, you know, cis and bi, he probably my life would have probably been in danger. It was that bad. And of course, the guy had never met a conspiracy theory that he didn't like either. But it was a really bad situation. Um, so that was like 3 years. And the last 6 months of it, I was actually like living in absolute fear, barricading my door and stuff, and sleeping with a knife. It really was that bad.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And that was about 3 years ago now. A little over 3 years ago, because I would have moved in. Yeah, no, it was about 3 years ago. So yeah, that was really bad. But now, you know, I've been able to start transitioning. Because my situation has improved. I moved. I need to fix this, but it's going to look fantastic. I'm going to be able to start transitioning. I'm going to be able to, you know, I'm getting everything I need. I finally got progesterone. I had to wait for like 2 months for that. Well, my doctor didn't want to give it to me, but she eventually did.
Progesterone. I do have my. I've been very lucky in that because I got it filled like a few days after. Like they gave it to me after my blood work came in.
Yeah.
That's what they did. Like it's like okay, we'll do it. They just said the doctor I saw said like, oh, we don't normally give that out, but if you want it, we'll give it to you. We only give it to people who ask.
Yeah. And I'll say my doctor did have my best, um, did have my best interests. He didn't know a lot about it. It's not something that's commonly given. And our endocrinologists here are like, yeah, that's not a good idea to give that. Um, like it's very. This is what it does to cis women who are over 50. Is basically what they say. So don't give it to trans women who are like 35 in my case. So it took me a bit. The reason she even gave it to me is she was like, okay, the nearest end. I was going to send you to an endo, but the nearest endo is like in London, Ontario, which is probably a 2-hour drive from here, and I don't even have a car. And she's like, yeah, so we're just here's a informed consent for estrogen or for progesterone, specifically. sign this and we'll go. And it's like I already told her, the dosages that I want. She's basically doing what I'm telling her. But now, and kind of the thing that sparked this show is the whole. I am really getting frustrated over the whole. You have to wait for a year to, not even to have surgery, but I have to wait for a year to even have a consultation for surgery. Now, if you're getting a normal, anal inversion or even a peritoneal pull through, if you're getting like a typical binary surgery, bottom surgery, then you know what you're getting. Everyone knows what you're getting. There's there might be a few small details to go over, but I'm getting a non-binary surgery, right? I'm not having anything at all removed. I'm keeping my penis where and how it is. I'm not getting rid of my testicles. They're being put somewhere safe, and my scrotal tissue is being used to make a labia. Hopefully. But here's the thing, is because it's, kind of, I guess we could say, a custom job, I don't know what I'm getting until I get a consultation.
Yeah.
So I can't even tell I can tell people what I want, but I don't have any details until I get a consultation. I can't speak to the surgeon, like, to make the, I can't even make, plans to go there for that long until I've been on hormones for a year.
I get the point of gatekeeping, but I feel like right now there's too much when it comes to medical treatment.
Yeah, and I'm not like young, right? I'm not like 20 or 18 or 16 or whatever. Like I've wanted this since I was like 9, and that was 26 years ago.
Gatekeep other treatment.
So it's like, okay, give me a break.
Surgery, like they don't get that much. Even like plastic surgery and things like that, they don't gatekeep to this extent. So yes, they support gatekeeping to an extent to kind of weed out those who are not trans but who might think they are, and to weed out like people who might have severe, mental health issues that they need to work on first. But if someone is of sound mind, if they know that they're trans, if they know that this is what they want, then let them go after that. And the informed consent model really does that in a way that the traditional just doesn't.
I am for, as far as I'm concerned, I am for like screening possible health contradictions.
Mm-hmm.
And that has nothing to do with gatekeeping. That has to do with, this will kill you or make you very unwell or something like that. Which even that is very, very rare. But as far as I'm concerned, if you're over 18, there should be absolutely zero gatekeeping.
Yeah.
And if you're under 18, then there should be a fuck ton of gatekeeping, but also a lot of support as well.
Yes.
So yeah,
my position kind of in the middle of that. Like, again, under 18, severe gatekeeping, very strong gatekeeping. Once someone is 18, I would just support some minimal level of gatekeeping to make sure that this is what someone really wants, and to make sure that they're in the right frame of mind. Because
there's a difference between there's a difference between gatekeeping. Yeah. There's a difference between gatekeeping and helping people figure out if it's right for them.
How so?
Because gatekeeping isn't designed to do that. It's really gatekeeping is designed to make the medical system feel good. It's not designed in like the best interests of trans people.
But there can be gatekeeping that has the best interests of trans people at heart. That
it has.
it doesn't exist now is a reflection of transphobia, that it absolutely could exist.
Well, here's the thing, right? When I went to my doctor, she said, here's a list of things that I want from you, right? Or here's a list of things that I'd like to see you do. One of them was joining the Gender Journeys group, which I did. One of them was doing. One of them was going through. One of them was Gender Journeys. One of them was reading the Sherborne Health Guidelines, which I didn't read. I actually read Rainbow Health, but they pretty much say this, they're pretty much copy pastes of each other. And the other thing, I can't remember the rest of it. But it's like I basically went in, told my doctor what's going to go on, already had everything done. I was presenting very feminine. I'd already started laser hair removal on my face before I went there. So, like, she was like, okay, yeah, you're trans, good enough. Right? So she can't. Yeah. So she ordered some blood work. She took off there's the Planned Parenthood one. She ordered some blood work. She the next session she basically diagnosed me with dysphoria. With the exception that she asked me if I'm non-binary. When I told her about the dysphoria I feel, I had just had a major incident where I was very, very, very horrifically invalidated. And I've already heard a lot of really bad things.
That's terrible.
Yep. So I'd already heard a lot of, I already had it in my head that like non-binary people aren't accepted for that. So I didn't even answer her. She's like, okay, are you non-binary? Do you just want blockers, right? And I just said, no, I just want the normal treatment. Or I just want the normal HRT. I didn't deny being non-binary. But the thing is that I also more want the estrogen and not the blockers anyways. Right?
Yeah.
But that is a thing where like people assume non-binary, I mean, soft mask or like the indeterminate gender definition of androgynous, where I am, the other definition of androgynous, which traits of both.
Yeah, which makes sense. Like the soft mask androgynous. I mean, that's kind of how I'm presenting today.
Yeah,
it's how I have been presenting more that way. Like since I physically pass now, and so I feel comfortable to do the soft mask thing. But it's not the only form of androgyny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no.
Androgynous. There's also a mixture of both.
Yeah.
And so with gatekeeping, and this has been my biggest gripe with the way that gatekeeping has been done in the past, is that it's been gatekeeping based upon stereotypes.
Yeah.
Like who is transitioning MTF, at least physically, has to be, high femme. They have to wear dresses. They have to wear like a ton of makeup. They have to have a really girly name. They have to act like super feminine and giggle and have a high voice, and just all of these general stereotypes that cis women are not demanded to follow. But
exactly.
Cis women has to. Like someone would never have made it, because look at me, baggy t-shirt, flannel, name is Kaden.
Yeah, you dress like a lesbian.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I do. Like
harsh.
All of my hobbies are male, like train spotting, adventure, so on and so forth.
I love watching trains, but they never come through here.
I used to have a train that go through my university campus. There's a railroad that went through it. Seriously.
Wow.
We have Quaker Oats here.
There was a river that goes through. A river runs through it. A railroad runs through it. There you go.
Nice.
Yeah,
Like,
I
the
mean,
thing though is that like someone like me wouldn't have made it, even though I have very strong, I had like prior to transition, I had really strong physical dysphoria, and I wanted, and I still do want to physically transition in a completely binary way. Like my gender identity is not binary. Like I'm a demi boy, but I wanted to have as close to a female body as possible.
yeah, and
And
that's totally
even
cool. Like,
yeah, and even with being dysphoric since I was like literally 3 years old, I still wouldn't have made it because I'm not high femme. I'm not feminine enough, and
oh
that's the
yeah,
thing
like
to go.
I'm not, you know, I do the dress thing. I have a few dresses. I like wearing dresses. I like wearing skirts. I'm going to wear
Mm.
skirts until it's too cold to wear skirts, and then maybe I'll wear leggings under the skirts and still wear
Mhm.
skirts.
Yeah,
Um,
leggings under skirts good. I've done that many
yeah,
times.
or maybe I'll just get like high socks or something. I don't know. I don't know how much HRT is going to have hurt my ability to withstand the cold. Um, I think Brittany gets some of the same weather. Maybe not necessarily as always as severe, but I think Brittany gets the same weather I do. But yeah, for Kaden and Laura, it gets really really cold here in the winter. So uh,
So
you know, warmer pants is definitely
The first time
better.
I wore a skirt in public, it was January, and it was like the high was like 30 degrees Fahrenheit, or
Oh,
how much that's
zero
Celsius?
is like -1. Yeah.
But it was like
30. But
yeah,
yeah,
it
that's
was
like
like,
-1.
but there was like some days were like, but it was like around the time where it was like the high was 36, but it wasn't 36 all day. So some day, so when I got back home, it was like below freezing.
I mean,
Yikes.
I mean, still, above -5 Celsius
Hmm.
is comfortable. We get like -30, -40 Celsius here.
Same Utah, like at least once a year in Ogden, it gets down to -40 Celsius, which is also -40 Fahrenheit. Like Utah
Yeah,
has really hot summers and really cold winters.
we
So
we get it. We get it for weeks though.
yeah, that's Canada. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Um,
I'm happy I'm not Canadian. I'm just
there's always Vancouver, even if it is expensive.
indeed.
You,
Victoria.
or if you want to be or if you're masochistic, you can live where Shannon lives and live in like New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, or Newfoundland, where it doesn't necessarily get nearly as cold, but it's always like blizzard weather all summer
I
or all
love
winter. I
snow.
mean,
I love snow, so that would totally work for me. Newfoundland, like I could totally be a Newf. I could totally be a Newf.
could totally be a newfie.
Absolutely. Like I love hiking, I love the outdoors. I love like moose and bear. I could totally be a Newfie or a Nova Scotian.
Yeah, you'd
Definitely.
probably be happy in Labrador,
Labrador
except for
would
it's
be
like
fetching.
It's like completely depopulated.
That
There's
sounds
a reason
awesome.
it's Newfoundland and Labrador, not just Newfoundland and then Labrador as its own province.
Yeah, but it's like one combined province.
I think you would actually. I think you would actually probably be more happy in like Calgary or something, or like
Why
Banff,
Calgary?
because it's more mountainy.
Oh, it is definitely
The Rocky
Yeah,
Mountains out west in like British Columbia,
Alberta.
Alberta.
yeah.
But then if
The
you go like
Alberta.
all parts of Alberta, and then of course all Saskatchewan, Manitoba, the plains, and
Exactly.
Saskatchewan,
Yeah.
part of the
It's
east part of Alberta, and the west part of Manitoba are plains, but Manitoba goes more into like temperate forest area once you get closer to the middle of it.
yeah.
It's a lot of it is basically like the more middle to the north parts of Ontario.
Yeah.
Like once you start getting closer to Winnipeg and
Like
stuff.
Minnesota. It's like North Minnesota.
Yeah,
Manitoba is.
You could always
Like-
move to Edmonton, Kaden.
and like it does have mountains, right? Like I know that like Banff is in Alberta, and it's a big mountainous ski
Okay.
resort.
We get like a month. Well, there is Banff National Park, which is apparently just utterly beautiful. But no, like we get a week of -50 or -40. Edmonton gets like a month of -50.
That would bother me. I could just bundle up. I'm a cold weather person. I'm a cold weather NB, so I could absolutely just throw on a few layers and get out there in
But
Edmonton, or somewhere in Alberta. Actually,
yeah,
I can take.
you'd probably really like Alberta or BC, but it's more expensive.
And it's more like just the culture of BC. I don't know if I would do well with that.
Oh,
but,
you'd be fine with them, Derry.
oh yeah, don't you know?
That's like an American accent. Stop it.
I like where I am. It's certainly good, though. I'd say like Pennsylvania is pretty like it can vary wildly,
Mm.
even though I guess it's somewhat of a big state. Well, by East Coast standards, it's big state.
By American standards, it's a big state.
Well, by like East Coast standards, especially because like
Yeah, Western
all
state.
the Western states are much bigger.
Yeah.
No, where I live, it's completely different. Hardly any snow at all, because when the weather comes towards Manchester, so Manchester is in like an inverted C shape of hills all around it. So we're like in the bottom of a valley.
That's kind of
with
like
the
my
hills
city.
to the north, the east, and the west. Sorry, east and the south. And so the weather comes from the Atlantic and it gets to the hills, the Pennines, and it says, "Hey, you think I'm getting over that with all this water in me? Forget it," and it dumps it here. So it rains 54% of the year. It rains here. When the weather comes from when the winter weather comes, it comes from Scandinavia and Russia and that kind of part of the world, and it gets to the other side of the Pennines, Yorkshire, and it does the same thing and just dumps all the snow there. So for us to get snow, it has to be extremely, wintry, or it's got to curl away around Scotland and then come in from the sort of from the west direction. So we get on average about 1 day's snow a year, and that's usually split into 2 days. So we get up in the morning, it's been snowing, and by lunchtime it's gone. Or you go to bed at night and it's snowing outside. You think, oh, it might be snowy tomorrow, and by the way, time you wake up in the morning, it looks like it rained. Whereas in Canada, it's something like that.
That's actually in Japan.
Is it?
Well, they're
Oh, right.
driving on the left.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, that's true.
Parts of Canada used to drive on the left, but
I
they
don't. I
all
don't.
on the right.
But either way, it's a funny picture.
It is a funny
Although-
picture, and for the longest time, I thought it was Canadian.
Yeah.
And I don't drive, so I don't know that they're driving on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah, it's on the
They
right,
are.
just
They're
like
driving the
here.
same road time. So
It actually
it's
depends
red.
where in Canada you are. The weather in BC is very similar to the weather where you are, Laura. It's like it's really raining a lot. It's always more mild. The weather, my city here in Peterborough, we basically have our own like weather system because we're basically in a bowl. There's hills all around. And everything seems to either miss us or only hit us for like weather and stuff. So yeah, my mom said when she gets to the county line to get out of Peterborough County and into the city of Kawartha Lakes, it's always like just the weather changes drastically. It'll be, not even raining. The second she crosses the line, it's like a downpour. And that, because she lives out of town, she lives about an hour away. And of course, I've actually seen this happen. It's really weird. It's just because my city is built in a swamp on a built on a swamp in the bottom of a bowl of hills, basically.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Okay.
and
Oh,
and,
keep going.
and go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to kind of get us back on topic, because I had something to say, like, on the wait list thing.
Yeah.
So, with DIY, I did a quick Google search, and actually, there have been cases of trans people getting hormones that were tainted, from foreign countries and ending up being harmed by them. So, again, I think that the UK should really try to cut down on this waiting list, because the more desperate that people become and the longer they have to wait, the more that they decide that, DIY is a reasonable option.
Or just ignore the just ignore the turfs and adopt informed consent.
Like,
Well,
right,
that-
exactly. Like,
Or even better, give the turfs the finger and adopt informed consent.
well, to be fair, like, not siding with the turfs, I'm just saying that, like, the concern that people have had with, self ID is that there may be certain people, like that one person in Canada, from a few months ago, Jessica Yaniv.
But she's legitimately trans.
Like, just because she's horrible doesn't invalidate her.
No.
Like there can be horrible people, and that still doesn't, like, gendering someone correctly and like giving them, like, it's as far as I'm concerned, hormones are no more different than like any other piece of healthcare. So it's like,
No.
Well,
like,
yeah,
But
that
yeah,
makes sense.
the thing
That's
is, like,
my
she's
concern would be,
she's on HRT. She's been diagnosed with gender dysphoria. She's trans.
like
like,
Friend of the show, Katie Joy, actually went over that and has the information.
I mean, I guess my concern would just be, like, not so much with the hormones, but just with, with women's, spaces and all of that. Like, and this is not about trans women, but
people
there
are
men who would try to, access them. Like,
I don't think they would go on. I don't think that they would go on hormones so much. And even now, like in Canada, that you don't have to be on hormones. You don't have to be anything. The government, the current model the model we currently use, basically says lived identity, right? So, because I went over this with my work a few, maybe a month and a half ago, like they're like it says lived gender, specifically it says lived gender, right? So my friend who has been has basically been out and living as a woman for the last 2 years, even though she hasn't been on hormones or anything except for the last 5 weeks. She has been using the women's facilities for most of that time, and nobody could say anything because a woman is her lived gender. I very specifically, as far as anyone is concerned, at my work, I am a binary woman, just to avoid well, a lot of our clients are very old and barely have a grasp of being trans, let alone being non-binary. So it's just I don't want to have to, it saves me a headache.
I ended up telling my grandmother that I said, like, I am your granddaughter and I'm happy, because I don't know if, because I just don't I didn't felt like explaining non-binary to her. The only person, like to my parents, it was like, if my parents acted the way they did with me being that, like, I had to sit down and just give them like a couple hours of like gender 101.
Yeah.
My
I've
sister
told
was
people
the most
I
receptive.
can tell you about this, but we're gonna have to sit down for like a couple of hours.
Oh God, yeah.
Well, I have the fortunate thing. I have the fortunate ability of just saying, yeah, I'm both. Deal. um,
hmm
it doesn't get that. It doesn't
Yeah.
get that. You know, overly uh complicated. I guess with
They
um.
get they,
I do have
they
a question for you, Laura. This is something that I had that this is just a random question that came into my head. Um, what about people from other countries who have already been on HRT? How if I went and lived in England to, I don't know, help my sister or something who lives in Birmingham, how would that work for me? You know, having already been on hormones for quite some time, we'll say over a
Um,
year.
yeah, well, you've got a diagnosis of gender dysphoria. So you've already overcome the main thing. You've been taking hormones. All you do is you say, okay, here's my gender dysphoria thing, and you just get your medical records from Canada, sent to your GP, and then it's like, yeah, okay, so you're going to need your hormones still, right? Okay, so these are the hormones you need, or sorry,
Okay.
these are the hormones I need. Please provide them. That's it.
All right. Excellent. I was just
But
curious
actually,
about
so
that.
I'm going to throw something back at you. Actually, so you were saying about this person who was living. They were going through their gender while they were waiting for hormones.
Yeah. Well, she
Um,
didn't start trying to get on hormones until, you know, she'd basically been living as a woman until she started until she went to try to get hormones.
yeah, which is effectively where I am. I mean, I'm doing the live gender. I'm living as a woman 100% of the time.
Yep.
Six months right now, actually. Although it was an hour where I had an argument with my mum, at which point she disowned me. But and and other than that, it's 9 months.
why
The 12th
in
the 12th of January was when I started. Um, but the um, the question is the live gender thing. Well, how does that work if you're non-binary? What is your lived gender when you're non-binary?
I
that's what
can
I
say I've
want.
been living. I can say if I've been living as my lived as my gender um for the last 34 years. Um.
But the complicated question is, it's like, if you're gender if you're non-binary and you're basically being told you need to live as your gender for X amount of time before they will treat you. Um, it's like, well,
Okay, we don't have the real life
and
test
their
anymore.
expectation is from a binary standpoint, as Kaden was referring to earlier.
Yeah.
How
So
does that even work?
so it used to work. So it used to work, as Caden has already said. It used to work. You basically have to fake it until you make it and be high femme,
Yeah.
or as mask as you can possibly manage. And like I said, you know, I haven't changed my voice. You can go back and listen to old World Warships video on my gaming channel. I haven't changed my voice. I haven't, you know, I don't ever wear makeup. Although it's just a spot. I just don't bother. Um, and you know, I am basically Butch.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
or
I'm
sometimes
fortunate.
downright mask. But you know, for gatekeeping, we don't have that kind of gatekeeping anymore,
Mm.
fortunately. And for like the whole lived gender thing, I would just, you know, if someone made a big deal of it, I would just make the case that yeah, okay, I am, I'm non-binary. My identity, I've identified, you know, as a bigender woman, demi boy for, you know, basically forever, since I was like 9, I guess, and um, I yeah, I've been living as half of my gender for all my life, and the other half of my gender for 8 months, 9 months, or
So I have
so.
And so what about someone like me? Like, how do I live as a demi boy? How do I express like life as a living as a non-binary person? Like, I can dress like this and hope they get the message, but there isn't
I
really a way to live as non-binary in the same way as there is to
sure
live, you know,
sure there
male.
is. Live as yourself. Just do what I'm doing. Live as yourself. I'm living as myself.
Being governed.
I'm occupying a lot of the both territories. I'm occupying a lot of the both territories right now, even though I'm dressed completely in woman's clothes. That doesn't make a difference.
Mm.
Um,
I mean, no,
you know,
that's
I'm more.
Is that?
See, that's the problem, because if where I live, the gatekeeping exercise is, well, if you're a man, you're supposed to do this, like much like Kaden said. You got to be feminine. I've got to be feminine. Well, this is fine for me because I'm already quite feminine anyway. I've got a really good dress style. I'm happy to jump through the hoops that they expect, because, well, those are the hoops that I want to jump through.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Your
the hoops didn't work for me at all. Uh, yeah, like I didn't even. No, I don't even know what living like a woman is supposed to be. I just do myself, and people say it's womanish, I guess.
yeah,
So,
like
yeah,
I can do, and
I'm like hard femme.
but I've been told that. But what Laura said is that, like, if I were in the UK, I would have to like fake being femme. I would have to like, wear nothing but dresses and put on a bunch of makeup and like have people call me Cadence, which is my official name, but I always go by Kaden. But
I
I'd
don't
have
think
to.
they. I don't think they go that far. I don't think that they would go.
No,
No, they're not quite that bad. I expect. I don't know, because I've not seen them yet. Because
And I have been told that they're more NB friendly. So,
well,
um,
I know that back in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, though they did go to that extent, even if they
yeah,
don't today.
yeah,
So
they don't go to that quite that extent today
nothing.
anymore. You know, if we still had all that bullshit, they would probably take me. And I was prepared to go through all that bullshit, and we're talking about the 2005 bullshit.
I think I was prepared for the worst too. Like sometimes you have to prepare for the worst in some cases,
Yeah.
especially when you're like, kind of a pessimist, anxiety ball of mess like I am. Like
Ooh. When
I I would be crushed if I got denied, but I went to informed
yeah,
consent, so that didn't happen. But when I
I was
decided,
crushed when I got denied.
like I it was November of last year when I made a conscious effort. I'm just like, I now want to start the process of going on hormone replacement therapy, and because I had this appointment with my primary doctor, and I told her, like, I'm transgender. I think I want to go on hormone replacement therapy because I feel like it would make me feel better and make me feel less bad.
Hmm.
I'd like
Like,
to think. Oh, I'm sorry. I'd like to think that the NHS is understands the non-binary concept, and the reason I say that is because in that Leeds GIC web page I was sharing earlier, it's got support and social groups. They're supporting social groups are an informal and friendly way to meet and socialize with other trans and non-binary people. The fact it mentions non-binary suggests that they know it exists, and it's a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
And
exactly. And like I said, it's the whole landscape, right? Has completely changed in the last 15 years since I tried it, at least. Um, and I actually like to. One thing that actually amazes me is that the word used to describe my gender has only been around since 2010.
mm,
So right, like the first time I tried to transition is 5 years before bigender even existed as I gotta stop doing that. That bigender even existed as a word. So
Now, there's another topic
yeah.
I want to mention, and it's a part of the same thing, but uh, and I've mentioned it on the show before, but since this is specifically about waiting, to access transition stuff, I have an argument, and I think it can be justified that transgender people are actively discriminated against by the National Health Service in the UK because um, gender dysphoria for many, is a killer. Sitting on the waiting list for years. I mean, I've had some thoughts cross my mind, and I'm not that bad. So you can imagine what someone who's really dysphoric is like. And there are people that are killing themselves because they're not being treated in a timely manner.
Yeah.
Now, so if you've got a heart attack, if you've got a heart condition, so you don't feel right, so you go to your doctors, listens and thinks, oh, maybe you've got an arrhythmia or whatever. So he
I think
says,
I can
right,
actually better say. I actually think I could better say this. If you think you have a weird lump in your breast, they will lead you over to the nearest uh doctor who can check that at the earliest possible time. Um,
yeah,
like they did for you, where it,
three
it, it
weeks.
yeah, there you go. And that is even only a concern where, if your mental health is terrible because you have gender dysphoria, then it's going to take them. We'll get to you in a few years when we get to you,
Yeah.
which is utterly disgusting as
Yeah,
far as I'm concerned.
Well, but here's the thing. This is what I mean about this. So let's use the lump. So I found I had a lump on my breast, and I'm still a man underneath all the makeup and the wig and clothes.
No, you're not.
Because I have no, and I'm talking on the physical sense rather than mental sense. Okay, so that's my biology is that, and males can get breast cancer as well. So I had a lump, went to my doctor's, and he had me booked for appointment 2 weeks after, and unfortunately that coincided with a couple of friends coming to visit. So I phoned them up and made an appointment for the week after they went. So, and I had the flexibility to do that. Now, when I so under the NHS, the targets are 18 weeks from the point of referral to you seeing a doctor, a specialist. If they can't see within that, they will send you to a private hospital. The NHS will pay for you to go to a private hospital, and their specialist will look at you and then report back to the NHS, to your GP. If they can't, so let's say you need, surgery or something like that. They've got 18 weeks between yes, you need surgery to getting surgery. And of course, the more dangerous it is, the quicker it needs to be done. You get prioritized in front of other people if it's like really bad or something like that. So, but for transgender people, it's not 18 weeks. And for me, it's 18 months. But
wow.
that's not to see a specialist. That's to see a nurse, to see basically a triage system. And I might wait
Yep.
another year or two to actually see the specialist.
Yep.
I would say that is discrimination.
Yeah.
I would say, I was just waiting to say that. I would be hard pressed to see how that's not just transphobia. Like, I'm not the type of person to, quiet transphobia over, minor things. I'm not someone who sees transphobia everywhere, but that honestly truly seems like it. The fact
I don't know. I'm not sure it could be called transphobia as such. It's more a failure of the system to recognize a problem that exists.
Yeah,
Because,
I would go
when
that
it's a
far.
physical symptom, oh, your heartbeat isn't normal, so we need to get some, you need to take some pills or get some surgery to fix that. Or you've
You,
got a lump. Well, we need to do a biopsy quick to make sure it's nothing. And if it is something, then you need to start doing chemo or whatever the things that they want you to do.
so like you
A mental, let me
said
just
that
finish. So, but a mental issue isn't considered a priority, isn't considered real enough to be a danger. And as I mentioned before, for transgender people, it is a real danger.
It is.
There
Yeah.
are people killing themselves because they are not being seen in a timely manner.
And you
And
said that the mental health services from the NHS are actually really bad, regardless of what you're dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I am much more likely if I've got agoraphobia. If I want to get treated for agoraphobia, then I'd have to go and see a specialist, but I wouldn't see an NHS one. I would, there'd be a charity that deals with whatever, things like that. There's a group called Mind who help people in the community,
Yeah.
things like that. The old days of locking people up in an asylum are over.
Good.
Yeah, we have CAMH. I think that's that, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Wait, but one thing that is bad, and this is something that I've consistently seen because, I usually blend in as this, and so people tell me things that maybe they wouldn't tell to someone who was visibly trans to them, and I basically heard that pretty much, even supportive cis people, most of them believe that being trans is just cosmetic, and that it's something that can wait because it's not essential. It's something that is a want and not a need.
Yeah.
And so, that's
Yeah,
an attitude that needs to be addressed because
exactly.
for many people, myself included, physical transition is a need. It's not
Mhm.
a want.
Like
It's
the
not.
want thing. It's like that's what I had. Like if they think like a trans person is like your assigned gender wanting to be a different one.
Yeah.
Like I had people ask me, so you're like a girl who wants to be a boy or like a boy who wants to be a girl? Like that's not how it works. You just don't want to be a gender any more than a cis person does.
You
As
just
far as I'm
are.
concerned, you just are.
Yeah.
I've always described, when I was 15, my mum asked me if I wanted to be a girl or something, and I said no. But in my head, I was saying yes because I needed to express myself as a girl in the same way as I needed to breathe. It was like an instinct.
Wow.
Exactly.
It's intuitive. I know what I need, and it was only the social phobia that stopped me from. Well, actually, there's a double one because back then there wasn't the internet to go and check up and discover. Oh, there are people like me, as opposed to drag queens and performers, which is
Right.
not what I am. I'm not a rapist. I'm just someone who's gender dysphoric. So I lived for 25 years in shame. And then when I came to accept myself, it's like, okay, I wish I could do it, but it's social reasons. Again, what would my mum think? What would the family think? What would friends and neighbors and colleagues and strangers on the street think? And there always seemed to be more dangers than there were positives.
Yeah, I always thought that like me transitioning is gonna be like the hardest thing to do,
Mm.
and I just didn't want to be like so. I thought it was gonna be a hassle. Like when I realized I was non-binary, it was like, well, how the hell am I gonna do this? Like, what will people take me seriously? Will I get accepted? Like, and even so, I'm just like, what's the best way to like show myself, present myself as the way I want to be? And I guess I worked that out already, but
And trans people can't go stealth, can they? They really can't. It's not like someone
Mhm.
who's LGB, who can say, who can pretend to be straight or whatever.
I mean, like, I
Well,
guess
some
like
goes.
binary trans people try to go stealth, like some do. For me, going stealth is like, I don't know, what would it be like to be non-binary? I guess, well, I'm kind of on a like, feminine side, so I could like go stealth as a woman rather than a man, which is kind of the preferable option, really. Because if I'm having to like, like being choose, like, there's clearly one for some non-binary people that's even more impossible because they're like either like unaligned or they're just don't want to describe themselves as those terms, like they don't want to compromise. And I
Yeah,
totally get that. Like I guess in some ways I like I describe myself as a non-binary girl, and
Yeah,
so I
I
could.
mean,
I'm
I
like
mean,
for
I could.
me. Oh, keep going, May. I don't want to cut you off, but I wanted to say something.
I mean, yeah, I could go stealth if as a woman if I really wanted to.
I don't think you
Um,
understand what I
but
mean stealth. I mean,
Yeah, like,
the gender that you were born as it
oh,
were. And I'm
passing, like, but the thing,
no, no, no. I
when I
don't
talk
mean
about
passing. I don't
like
mean
passing
passing.
is like,
What I mean is, okay, look,
oh,
for someone who's let's take a gay man. Okay,
mm-hmm,
a gay man can pretend to be straight. He can, even though in his head he knows he's gay, he can say to his friends and colleagues and pretend he's straight. He could say, "Oh, I was banging," I met a girl the other day, and we had some sex and stuff like that. You could do that. You could,
mm,
it's written all over my makeup when I go out. It's written all over my height. It's written all over my voice when I speak because it sounds deeper than a female's voice. So
I
the only way I can go stealth is to go as a guy, and that's not who I am.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And like for me, I was okay if I say something. But just I basically like on a day-to-day basis out in Utah, not in LGBT spaces. I basically just go stealth as female because one, I'm not gonna like advertise to everyone. I'm non-binary. I'm non-binary. I'm not binary. And two, like it's also to keep me safe because if someone knows that you're trans or knows that you're non-binary, you suddenly become less than human in the eyes of a lot of
yeah, I feel
people, and so that's something that
like a
I have
lot
to
of,
avoid. And like,
mm-hmm,
but some people don't have that option. Like they either have
Being,
to live stealth as the real sex,
yeah,
or they have to be
yeah, like,
openly trans
a
as their
shorthand
actual
effect of
gender.
the shorthand version of it is being trans is like being on the 1960s version of Star Trek and wearing a red shirt.
I guess it's a
You
way,
might
but
as well
like,
have a bullseye written on you as well.
yeah, a lot of them are like,
except for there's a couple who always survive, like
Oh,
Scotty
the,
and
the main
Uhura.
cast, yeah.
I mean, I could if I really wanted to, I could, if I really wanted to, I could basically go stealth and convince people I'm a cis woman.
yeah,
It's
like
not.
if,
It would not be that hard for me. I'd just be a tall cis woman, who's a little bit bulky. But it wouldn't be that hard for me, except for I just can't be bothered because I'm not that. um, I'm something a little bit different. And people can easily clock me by looking down a bit usually. So but I mean, I could go completely stealth and people would see me as nothing but a cis. Half the time, people do see me as a cis woman anyway. So.
I,
Yeah,
I get what you mean, Laura. Like, it's like it's harder to like, it's like the whole thing of passing. It's just like it's easier if there's some like, I guess, like, because you're like really like presenting in like a very meticulous way, but also like gender comes off way more in like someone's like, like passing eye. Like if you make like a snap judgment of someone, you see a random person across the street, right? You're going to, most people make a quick judgment, like saying, okay, and then it's like, is that a man or a woman? Like some people are implicitly thinking that because that's the way we've been sort of, society has told a lot of people. Sexuality doesn't cross the mind as high as gender does.
Yeah,
But
that too.
to be fair,
And
lesbians will just obviously not
yeah,
straight.
like unless you're like putting out like like really like queer gay vibes, most people are gonna like default to like like a compulsory heterosexuality.
Yeah, no one
Everyone's straight.
Yeah,
ever.
but
Yeah,
pass
but like
straight.
passing is like so weird. It's like some trans people really try to like pass in the sense of like looking like a cis person of their desired gender, usually binary. And if you don't, well, even so, it's like it just reminds me of just like how like like you're not gonna be treated like a man, but you're not gonna be treated like a woman. It's like you're treated as like some weird anomaly. Pronouns it and spit. Like
Exactly, and that's sad, but that's how it is, especially in Utah. And so, like, I would rather have someone see me as a cis guy than to see me as a trans woman, just because of like that bigotry. But I
yeah, at
can't have
least
guys,
a
so my
cis guy. At
and
least a cis guy has male. This guy actually. The difference is that cis guy actually has male privilege because if someone like because if the wrong person sees I'm trans, they're not gonna be like, oh, you're actually born male. Well, I'm not gonna bother you. Have a good day, sir. Like they're not
Yeah.
gonna do that.
Yeah.
well, with male privilege, I mean, I don't really. My feelings on that topic are complicated, and they're not for the show. But I'm just gonna say that like with me passing, I mean, it's not really dysphoric to have people see me as a woman. It is extremely dysphoric
Mm-hmm.
to have people see me as a man. But because of transphobia, I go out there looking to pass as a cis woman, like maybe a lesbian, maybe a non-binary person who was assigned female at birth, like, but just to be seen as someone who was assigned female at birth, simply because that's what I feel like I should have been. But like if it comes down to people just just because of safety, if it comes down to me being seen as MTF, like, or seen as a cis dude, I would much rather them see me as a cis dude because at least I would be safe in that case. But the thing is, I can't pass as a cis dude anymore. Like, even dressed like this,
Mm-hmm.
even with my hair tied back like it is now, like, even with my name being androgynous and slightly masculine leaning, I can't pass as a cis man. Like, I simply cannot do it. I cannot pass as a cis man.
I think I'm
And
getting to
so,
the point of where I couldn't do that if I wanted to.
like, yeah, I know. I actually went out on Thursday wearing like an old hoodie and a t-shirt and like jeans, no makeup, hair was tied back, and I'm just like, if people don't see me as a cis man now, they're not going to. And everyone used feminine pronouns.
Yeah.
So it's just like the cis dude option is no longer a thing. So I'm either going to be seen as non-binary, which would be awesome, like, or as a cis woman, like, or a trans woman, basically. And that third option terrifies me so much because I know the visceral way that people hate trans women, like
Mm-hmm.
the violence against them, all the murders against them. Like, and even though I'm 100% not a trans woman, if I look the part, someone is not going to care. Oh, you're actually a demi boy. We'll have a good day.
Yep.
Like, no, you're one of those T slur, F slur, whatever people, and you need to be put in your place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You get
I mean,
treated like the
I
freak.
yeah, I mean, even that affects me, even though, to some extent, even though like nothing bad has ever like happened to me on that level, it's still it's even for me here where I am, it's still at the back of my mind, right? Even though like you can even though I know that I'm often visibly trans, um, or the visibility of that is actually kind of fading a little bit in some areas. But yeah, it's affected me quite quite a bit. And I've it's like expecting the worst, but the worst never comes. But then still expecting it. I guess there is this thing. It just takes one random asshole, right? But even still, oop, even still, like it's still something that I worry about, and it's really not almost never going to be a problem for me. So
Brittany said
Exactly.
something.
And like when sorry to cut you off, Laura. Like if you wanted to finish, that would be perfectly fine.
No, no,
I
you
Go
finish
ahead.
yours first. I've got it
Oh,
written down.
so one reason that I'm working on making my voice higher is so that I sound, unimpeachably cis female, so that if someone wonders if I'm trans, if it crosses their mind, they can hear my voice and be like, no, that's not an MTS. And that's, again, in a society where there was no trans misogyny, I would not care if someone saw me as a trans woman. Like,
I'll be fair. I was
I
working on my voice before I started transitioning for exactly that reason. And then
Yeah.
I found that it was pointless, and people say sound like a woman anyways. It just
Yeah.
with a slightly lower tone. I do kind of. I also sound. I
She's a
can.
bass.
I also sound.
She's a base, as they say in Spaceballs.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm just looking to be as unimpeachable as possible. I know that there will always be someone out there who can clock me like Toast study trans faces and trans bodies intently so that they can clock people.
And they fail repeatedly and
They
often.
don't. They always attack masculine cis women most of the time,
Yeah, I
and a
know.
lot of it is like bathrooms. They might give like that was one thing that like I haven't really gotten like too much harassment, thankfully, but what was I gonna oh yeah, like I remember being at a loss for some bathrooms. Unisex bathrooms I like to go to still because I don't have to worry about it, and they're usually single rooms anyway when they're marked as unisex explicitly, but multi-stalled ones are almost always labeled as men or women, like,
I know.
and
And
it's
that's
just like,
for you.
yeah, but and like when I was like earlier on, I was always at a loss.
Like, which one do I use?
Oh
do I
yeah.
go to and get beat up, or
Yeah.
do I go to the window and get, called a predator and thrown out?
Get yelled at or get beaten up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I used to have this. Where do you want me?
Am I too masculine for the women's room, or am I too feminine for the men's room?
On you're
Or-
you're
Yeah,
not
that was a question.
not masculine not you, but oh, I'm not masculine enough for the men's and I'm not feminine enough for the women's.
Yeah, I was saying, it's like, am I too feminine to go into the men's room, or am I? I think I like androgynous, but does that mean I'm like, or
Yeah.
like am I too masculine for the women's room still, or like too, or
not.
if I go back to the other one, I
Well,
would be too feminine.
That
There
was
was
something.
different intentionally.
You're gonna say something, Laura?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first one I wanted to address something you said about passing. I'm 6'4". There are very few people taller than I am, like men, that are taller than I am, let alone women. So I really can't pass yet. I mean, yes, I do good with makeup and wig and the clothes and stuff like that. It's like, yes, that's a woman. Okay. But I look like a trans woman. All
The third
time.
woman I ever dated was about 6'4".
Yeah. But either way, yeah, but that's a rare exception. Normally they're 5'9", something like that, and less.
The average is 5'7".
So that's the norm. I mean, I wish I had Kaden's size. I really do. And build. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm 6'5".
Sorry, how much? What are you?
I'm 6'2.5".
Oh, are
Like,
you?
I'm really
Oh,
skinny,
well.
but I'm
Yeah.
really tall.
Okay. Okay. At least then I wish I had your figure. Anyway, so uh, so the other part, so I get what I call double takes. So I'm walking down the
Mm.
street and people look at you, and what happens is it's the natural thing. You sort of see something, and your eyes just flick to have a look, to have a quick look. And it's like there's someone coming, so they take a look, and then their brain buffers and says, "Wait a second, something wasn't quite right there. I need to do a check." And so then they take a proper look because they say, their first instinct was, "Crikey, she's tall." And so then they take the second look, and that's when they get the knowing nod or the silly smile or something, where they basically clocked you and said, "Ah, that's why she's tall." You
I've
know,
got that a few
and
times.
yeah, and that really annoys me, it unnerves me, Um,
I'm
and of
I'm
course, I get clocked all the time. I get people kind of smile, or like a couple of guys nudge each other as if to say, "Hey, look, 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 look," kind of thing. And
God.
then and you get people who just like burst into laughter when you walk past, or say
Oh my
something,
God. I'm
things
so
like that.
sorry.
Shit, that.
yeah.
Constant
People
supply
ask,
of it. I've described it like being pecked to death by ducks. Each stab in itself doesn't do anything. It doesn't penetrate, but enough just knocks your confidence and it's a constant supply of it every time I go out. Every time someone looks at me, I think, what are they thinking? Are they, and it's like paranoia. When I go
yeah,
to a bathroom, I go to the ladies' bathroom. Okay, the way I look, I would just get abused if I went to a male one. So I go to a women's one, and they've got stalls and everything. So you go in, you lock the door, you use the bathroom. But if someone comes in, I pretend I'm not there. I keep
mm,
quiet, and I wait until they leave, and I hope that another person doesn't come in before, while I'm washing my hands or something.
Yeah, I kind
Or
of do
you know
that.
yeah.
because
Like
because it's I worry about, it's a matter of time before I get someone with a turf mentality. You can't be in here because you're a man. That kind of stuff.
yeah,
You know,
Exactly.
it's only a
I
matter of time before one of those duck pecks annoys me. It's like, what are you staring at? And next thing you know, there's a confrontation and I get assaulted. It's only a matter of time before some kid decides, you know what, after sort of nudging his mate, and then they follow me and then they pull my wig
Oh
because,
no.
like, oh yeah, that'll be fun, won't it, to take the piss out of someone?
Oh
So
my
just
gosh.
going to pull their wig. In fact, it's got combs on. It's going to rip my head off.
What?
But it's that kind of stuff that I'm
I'm
worried about every
sorry.
single time I go out, and I've got agoraphobia as it is.
I
So
mean
that's my personal battle every time I go out.
stuff like that's certainly a concern for me. For bathrooms,
Oh, and I
I
apologize.
I
I got to add one other thing, and I'm waiting 18 fucking months to get the first appointment, and I'm looking about 4 years before I get hormones. At which time, then some features will start changing. At which point, I might actually look like a female rather than have the sort of the angled jaw and and stuff like that. You know what I mean? The changes, the softened skin, things that all those sorts of things. You know, it's really upsetting that I've got to wait for 4 years before I can even get something that's going to relieve some of that pressure.
I'm
yeah,
so
that's
sorry.
really
Like,
horrid.
I can only imagine the pain that you must go through being visibly trans and just having to endure the abuse. Whereas, someone like me, I'm privileged enough to be able to hide from the abuse if I wanted to.
Yeah.
You just have to sit there and you just have to bear it. All the assholes in your part of the world, and just win and bear it.
Well,
And you're so brave. You are so brave.
I'm
Honestly.
I think not only that, I think I'm fortunate because Manchester is a very inclusive place. We've got a gay village, I live on the suburbs, so you get sort of more old-fashioned people as you get further out of the city. But so I get old people kind of get like a sneer when they look at me from time to time. But people don't come out and say it. I'm fortunate that in the UK, the idea of confronting people who are different is rare. It's basically only arseholes who do that. Abject arseholes, as opposed to average people is like, oh, that's just wrong, that kind of stuff, who actually say it.
So, a problem I have with bathrooms is that, okay, I have several problems with bathrooms. First, I'm a janitor. I clean public bathrooms. Women's bathrooms are worse than men's.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to say objectively. And I knew this before I started using women's bathrooms. Just from having to clean them.
They don't smell as bad, though, I think.
They're all
no, the worst smelling
ways.
The worst smelling bathroom at my work is the South Woman's. It is absolutely atrocious. If I'm the one who has to clean it, I walk in the door. I'm not going to be cleaning it until like 9, until after 10. I walk in the door at 8. I go in and prop it open because there's no ventilation and it gets a lot more use than the men's down there. And
it is worth pointing out.
Utterly disgusting.
Yeah, but you do have a high percentage of old people there, and old people do have funny smells about them. So maybe that's it. I'm joking, of course.
So that's my first problem. And it kind of it does actually impact when I use public washrooms now. Men's or women's. I generally use the women's. There's been a few times when I've walked into the women's, all the stalls were full, so I walked into the men's. And pissed in the urinal. Because it was empty. So like my problem is that I actually have a hard time getting everything out if I sit and pee. So I'm pretty much stuck standing. And I prefer to stand anyways. So that's my little problem going into the women's. And that actually causes me a fair amount of anxiety, even though nothing bad has ever happened. It's just really annoying.
When you use the women's, do you usually sit?
No.
One time I went into like a women's bathroom and I saw the toilet and the toilet seat was already up.
Well, I've been saying if you're not going to plant your ass firmly on, do everyone a favor and lift it, and that includes cis women or even trans women. That includes everybody, actually. Cis woman, trans woman, cis men, trans men, everybody. If your ass isn't firmly planted on the goddamn seat, then lift it. I don't care if you're hovering. If you're hovering, your piss splashes onto the seat. Or you can miss if you're hovering, because, that is definitely that thing I've seen happen. And this is janitor rage, okay? This is literally janitor rage right now. I clean more piss off the women's toilet seats than I do the men's.
Yeah, women hover like they.
Yeah, if you're gonna fucking hover, lift the goddamn seat. That's all I'm saying. Saying, lift it.
Bathrooms, like I go out of my way to avoid using them. One, because I'm non-binary, and going to a room marked men or marked women gives me dysphoria in and of itself. Also because I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. And even though I pass, quote unquote, it's always in the back of my mind. Like if I walk into the women's room and there just happens to be that one person who can clock me.
The one asshole. Always one.
I would make them uncomfortable. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. So I go out of my way to avoid public bathrooms. I go into single stalls, or I hold it until I get home or until I get to work, or things like that. Just because it's not in my nature to make someone uncomfortable or to make them feel like their territory is being moved in on.
You see, nobody should be uncomfortable with me, whatever bathroom that I go into, whenever I go into.
Right.
Nobody should be uncomfortable with that.
Not with you specifically, but just with any trans person.
I've acquired this one defense I never had to deploy, and I hope I don't. But it would be like, I belong here. I just have a deep voice. Hopefully that might work, but I don't know if I ever get. Nobody's talked to me in a restroom,
People
so
don't like 99% of times, like even when you are visibly trans, people will not confront you.
The problem I have at work is that I worked there for 2.5 years before I came out and started transition. Went full time. So, like, we have regulars who know, that I started. We have regulars, know that I started out. Basically, let me find a good one. Like, I don't mind showing. Actually, no, this is a better one. Okay, so it's taking a little bit longer, but that's not the one I want. We have regulars who know that I started work looking like this as opposed to looking like this, and this was last June or July, so this was not long before I even come out. So yeah, that is a good representation of how I looked, for the last 3 years, just with a little less facial hair.
You look totally different now, honestly. You don't look like that anymore.
It's only the eyes that gives it away, I think.
Yeah, like if you look into someone's eyes, like you can kind of tell.
My eyes are so much bigger, though.
They are, definitely.
So I don't even know about that. It would be really hard. I mean, I am kind of like, right now are in that. So,
Because I know you, I can tell it's you. But if I didn't know you, I'd be like, "Oh, is that like her brother or something like that?"
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you didn't know me and you didn't know I was trans, then it would be hard. It would be hard to tell. I really like that picture, so I don't mind showing it.
A lot of my old pictures have like a fuller beard. Like sometimes it was like, especially around here, like fuller. Like I was hairy.
Oh yeah. I used to have beards out to here, right? I'm sure that everybody's seen this, but I love it. So
now, how is this? Was that a coping strategy of, if I have a beard, then people won't be able to guess that I'm trans in my head?
There you go. There is the average beard that I have. I don't have many pictures of it, but you can really see how full it is. Also, I got caught in a random blizzard walking home from work in the middle of the night.
Oh my gosh! Like I never really
Hashtag Canada.
Oh yeah, Derry. I just got caught out in a minor little snowstorm. It wasn't all that much of an issue, but I did get a fun selfie there. That's the first selfie I ever took too.
Wow.
The first selfie I had doesn't show me with a beard because I think like 15, 16, I decided not to have a beard, but then I went it back because I don't know. I thought I would look older and more mature, more respectable, and less, hiding acne and.
Yes, that's a big one for me. I used to have a lot of acne before I started hormones. So
I still had bad acne even into like my age, but spironolactone has cleared it up dramatically.
Oh, yeah. It'll kill that.
It'll
kill that.
Like it's
for most
actually
people.
used for incest people to clear up acne.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I to answer Laura's question, no, it was never a coping mechanism for me. Um, if my facial hair caused me dysphoria, it was ever very minor. And that's more of a, I won't even say it's more of a thing. It's just that I would rather present femme than mask right now.
Hmm.
And I would
Yeah.
rather not have to put on like a quarter-inch of makeup to hide the shadow, which
Well, I
is
get that.
which was, you can even still see it a little bit today.
Like,
But it was like very obvious all the way up here.
oh
Yeah.
no.
And I hate shaving
Yeah, shaving
anyways to
sucks. I
start.
hate it too.
Yeah.
Well,
And
like,
there it does go back a little bit to the avoiding transphobia thing.
mm-hmm.
Where I would just rather not avoid it. But in general, I would rather not have facial hair than to have it. It's just, when I had it, it wasn't that big a deal, and I was trying to present masculine anyway. So
I wish I could transfer all the hair, body hair follicles onto the top of my head.
Oh, I get
Mm.
Then I wouldn't have to wear a wig because
yeah,
I'm thin on top. I'm not bald. I'm just thin.
yeah.
it takes time for hair
Um,
to kind of like grow out. It does.
And
I
my
only
my chest hair grows as fast as my facial hair does.
Well,
As in,
see,
literally every couple of days, when I have a shower, I end up shaving my chest because
no.
it gets a blue shadow to it.
yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. You.
one
I don't know if
advantage
you
of
can see
having
it.
Kleinfelters for me is just the fact that I never had a lot of, facial hair or body hair. But those things have always been, aside from genitals, like those things have always been like the most dysphoric things for me. Like during puberty, like I literally wanted to peel my skin off just because of that.
Mm.
It
I remember the first time I started growing facial
was,
hair at like I don't know, like 13 or something. I gotten quite scared.
Mm.
Like I was like noticing like the growth of it on my face. I'm just like, yeah. So maybe that was a sign, but
I
I wasn't even. I mean, when I went through puberty and I started to get hair on my face. I mean, my when I was 16, my parents, I think I was 16, my parents bought me a shaver, a gold plated shaver, razor blade, razor, and I wasn't taught how to use it. I never had here's how to shave. Do you know who taught me how to shave? Sergeant Murtaugh from the Lethal Weapon movies when he explains it to his son.
I had to learn myself.
Yeah.
I yeah.
my mom
I
showed me
mean,
how to. Funnily enough, seriously, my
I
mother did it.
I as for the rest of the hair, I it sometimes makes me dysphoric, especially like on my boobs. I
Mhm.
definitely don't like that. But it's really more just for the rest of it. I will admit that it's really just a preference. I just really rather not have it.
Mm.
And that goes, like, I'm not a fan of hairy people either. So like, yeah, I would have a hard time being with a guy who was like hugely hairy, or a girl
I
even.
I don't think body hair makes me feel dysphoric per se, but I did like get rid of some of it because I felt like it made my chest look better, and even so, like since I wore like skirts and shorts more, I didn't want to be seen as like the hairy man, like it's meticulous femininity, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Like
Like,
I shave my legs occasionally. I hate doing it.
Oh, it
Uh,
sucks, but I
like,
do it
and
because I mean
I
it's kind of nice to feel it like ooh legs move, but also
Mm.
that's good, but
I'm
also
getting this lasered. Like, I'm getting my entire torso lasered now.
one
I'm gonna have
of
everything basically lasered, and then I'm gonna have to have some touch up with electrolysis downstairs, and I'll probably get some here, because I have stuff the laser can't get. I look like I have dark hair, but there's like odd if you look at it really in the light, there's like the odd one that's light. My face is like that, so I'm not going gray or anything. But I do have like very light red, um, light red and blonde hairs like mixed in, and the laser just can't get that. And yeah, my hair is like more multicolored. It's just that only the dark stuff shows up. It's easy to see.
All things. One is that it's important to know that leg hair and like cis women have it as well. It's
oh yeah, I know. I just don't like it.
Something that
no, I
like,
even
our
said
culture
right. It's
basically
just
said,
I
you
would
know,
rather not have it. It has nothing to do with culture. Even it has nothing to do with culture. I would just rather not have it on me personally.
like and then the second thing that we've hit the 2 minute and 30-second mark, and maybe we should switch to the after show at some point, or kind of wind
we
things
hit
down a
250.
little bit.
I was thinking of winding it down. I'm still a little, you know, my friend got me so fucked up last funny. okay, it's actually really funny. Um, yeah, we learned that I am never to do edibles and alcohol again ever. um, oh, I got really fucked.
It could be worse. It could be me that feels as bad as you.
it was. Oh no, it was scary. And I had the least. I had out of all the people who had a lot, I had the least, and I was the most fucked up. Except for maybe one other person who just drank way too much. But I don't think that he was quite as fucked up as me in other ways. I was gonna say something that was relevant, but oh yeah, like I said, I just don't like it's not even a culture thing. It's just like I don't like it. You get it off of me, but not. But not in a dysphoria way. Not in a dysphoria way. It's just like I don't like it. You get it off.
Yeah,
For
we
me,
always
that
like
was
actually.
It's just a preference.
Well,
It's
go
just a
ahead.
preference for me.
I've several months ago in June, I had a bra fitting at Victoria's Secret because there was a sign, saying, "Oh, we do bra fittings." Like, okay, yeah, I'll go for that. And they were super nice. They really were. And it's like, yeah, if I had some money, I would have bought something, but they're a bit too pricey. But so a couple of weeks later, knowing the bra size that I need, I went to Primark, like a department store kind of place, women's clothes, and I experienced really bad dysphoria. So went and bought a couple of like a pack of bras, and then went to the fitting room to change into it. First time as in a fitting room as a female, by the way. So I expected it to be like a good experience, a special experience. Yes, it was especially bad. So I ended up at the back of my dress, dropped the bodice down to my waist, and took one bra off and went to change the other. And then I got a sight of, and there was a mirror at the sort of 45-degree angle, and I'm overweight on the tummy, in particular. So I caught sight of my big, fat, ugly, hairy male belly.
Oh.
And I was so repulsed by it, I had to look away because I felt like vomiting. I try not to look at myself naked much anyway, but seeing it at 45-degree angle profile, it made it look huge. And it's the fact that it's hairy, probably what made it look so male. I mean, I shave it from time to time. When it starts to grow back, it gets itchy, especially
Yes,
at
it
the
does.
bottom near the waistline.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
So,
razor burn.
yeah, and it just I hadn't shaved it for a while, and oh gosh, I felt so bad. I mean, as soon as as soon as it was covered up and back in my dress, I was fine. But it was such a shock to my system. I think it's the worst dysphoria I've ever had.
I am so sorry, Lord. That just sounds awful.
It was.
I've
Yeah.
had
Folks, I do have to get going. It was
Okay.
awesome being on another show. I love being co-host. This is like the most fun I've had in a long time. So
awesome.
it's awesome. Thank you for putting up with me, and I'll see you next week.
Yeah, we're probably going to want to wrap this up a bit.
Yeah, I kind of
okay.
want to get going too. But before we go, I just want to say, Laura's like I never liked the look of my torso for a while. And especially I regularly wore breast forms, and when I saw like clothes on with them on, it's like putting on like a bra with the forms in them. I looked fine, but when I took them off to shower, I just would just like stare at myself. I'm just like, why am I looking at it? I know it looks bad, but it's like you can't look away. It's like this weird, like you're like, it's almost like I'm picking at the wound.
Yeah.
Though
Yeah.
HRT has made it gone away, and hopefully one day you'll get it. I really hope you do, because I think it's going to help you significantly.
Definitely. Hopefully you can get it a lot faster than get it. Sure. Absolutely.
It's not something I'm going to make open yet, because it's more of a hope than an expectation. And but yeah, there might be a chance that might happen.
That's amazing. That's
great.
great.
Like late this year, start of next year type stuff. So
yeah. I had something I want to say.
I'll tell you about it when we.
I have had a couple of those. I look at myself and I see moments.
Yeah. Like dressing rooms can be.
But like it's just because a lot of it, like my torso is garbage. Clothes off. I swear. And it has nothing to do with gender. But one thing I've noticed is that over the last month, like up to a month and a half ago, like I kept seeing that faint, well, growing more and more faint, you know cis man at certain angles. I don't really see it anymore. A little bit today, but like it's going. So yeah, that's amazing. That the hormones are doing their thing. And like you saw how it was before. There's been a lot of change. Even though if I still look like the same person, I definitely look like the female version of me, which is slightly better than the male version.
I guess sometimes
I think a part of the dysphoria that I get, it's body dysphoria effectively, although it's gender dysphoria,
Oh yeah, I don't experience social dysphoria. I thought I did, but
I do a lot.
It's not. It's just I have some strong preferences about some things. So it's
I just mean about my own body. But
yeah, I have a lot of body dysphoria though. All of it's body dysphoria.
The funny thing about it is, and it's funny. I don't mean funny in a ha-ha sense. I mean, sort of how it affects me and why it affects me quite so viscerally, or affected me in that case quite so viscerally. And I think it's because it's the frustration at the waiting list again. That one of the things I've got a fat belly, okay, but I can do something about that. I can stop eating as much.
Yeah,
I can shave more and things like that. But
I'm going to the gym regularly.
I wish
now.
I didn't have to. And so, until I get the diagnosis of gender dysphoria, it doesn't unlock things like facial hair removal. I've got to pay for it, and that costs a fair amount of money. And at the moment, I haven't got a fair amount of money to spend.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to, that that I can't do anything. I'm helpless. I'm it's all in the hands of the gender identity clinic as to when they get around to helping me. And until then, I've got to fend for myself in the best way that I can, cope with it as best I can. And although in general I succeed, there are so many times when I feel that I'm not succeeding. You know, that those thoughts that, you know, looking at those pills and thinking I could take a big pile of pills and that'd end the problem. You know, those thoughts pop into my head occasionally. I don't act on them. I just sort of, you know, brush it away, think, yeah, don't think like that because you're doing so well. But
Yeah.
I think the difficulty is, and I'm thinking on my feet as I'm you know, as I'm going. At the moment, I'm in the big holding pattern. Before, I was doing stuff. I was going out. I was doing this thing for the first time. I was doing that thing for the first time. I changed my name. I got rid of my guy clothes. I had all these big things that I was able to do.
And now you've hit a
Now,
plateau.
and now I haven't really got any big things. You know, that a year ago, it was all coming out and being me and coming out to my friends and people on the internet and, you know, all the stuff that I could do. And that now I'm looking at another, you know, I'm entering my second year of my transition where, you know, going out for the first time publicly in August last year to watch Manchester Pride, taking part in it this year, that was a biggie. But, you know, everything else in the holding pattern, I don't have any goals. All the only goal that I've got right now is to get through another year while I wait until May, June, when finally they get around to saying, yes, we've got an appointment for you on so and so date.
I mean, I can kind of like I can actually kind of relate on a few levels. Like I had my friend make me a dress, right? And I had it all in my head that, you know, I'm going to go to Pride, Peterborough Pride, which is actually still not until it's still not for 6 days, so it's going to be this Saturday coming up. But it's like I want to go to Peterborough Pride. I want to wear this. It's going to be my first time in a dress in public. Um, Yada yada yada. When I had her make it, and then I've already worn it out a couple of times, and like it was all cool both times. And then, you know, I wore it for Toronto Pride, which is way bigger than Peterborough Pride. And by the time we even got to Toronto Pride, which was during the actual Pride month, um, it's like, okay, I actually look pretty good in this, but it's completely mundane, right? This is so anticlimactic because I've been, you know, dressing this way for a while, and that's just kind of where I've been. Is that I've hit, you know, like a plateau where um my the next thing that I consider to be a big thing is surgery, and that's not going to be for a couple of years.
Mm.
And I'm not even going to get a consultation for my surgery until probably late January, maybe even early February. Um, so there's that,
I'm not
and
even thinking about surgery at the
yeah,
moment. You know, I'm
I
still waiting for stage one to take place.
yeah. The thing is, for me, I'm not. That's not even an option for me. For me, it's just like, you know, get on. I got on hormones. That's all I really want to do with medical transition, and I
that's
added
where
progesterone.
aside from some minor FFS, which has little to do with gender, actually. Um, I mentioned it before. I have a cyst right here,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it annoys me. So I figure that they could just put things back together in a. It's gonna need cosmetic surgery when it's taken out, and it's not like cancerous or anything, but I need it out because it's annoying. Like if I were wearing a hat like when you're wearing, Brittany, it would actually sit on that and it would be very
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, like
Um,
the only only other things I could do related is like I still want to get my I'm still chasing down some paper documents with name change related because and also yeah, there's this I still want to get the insurance updated because that's been a huge hassle, and the
Yeah.
passport too, and I think I might just need to make a few like a doctor's appointment and just I don't know, go to like the state welfare office or something, and I might have to do it in person. Oh gods, um
Yeah.
but this is probably the last few things I'd say before I get going here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
My name, my official name, legal name and gender change.
mhm.
I have. They're currently low priority, but I'm doing them before I do my passport.
Oh, my passport, it needs to change. I can't. My therapist told me that that oh, they would probably think you have the wrong passport because I look so different.
Hmm.
Because it's me at 17. That's when I got my passport. At least I don't have a beard in it like my German visa.
Okay. I
Like
mean,
I have
yeah.
like a German
And yet,
student visa in it.
look at that. You go to doctors, you pretty much, get seen very quickly, and he says, "Yeah, here's a prescription for some hormones."
Hmm.
Whereas changing your name is really complicated. Whereas
Oh
for
yeah.
me, I changed my name in 3 weeks, and the 3 weeks was only because I dawdled to try and to get help with someone else, or to sort it out with someone else, and ultimately, I did it in a day.
I think the problem with like name change is that there's like this long process. Like I said I filed a petition and then I had to get it published in 2 newspapers. And then I had to like, and of course, the clerk told me that we're scheduling it like 3 months, sometime 3 months later from when you filed it. And then I had to like file a bunch of like, I don't know, like background checks and, name searches and then present it and get all this paper together, present to a judge. And the judge asked me, why are you changing your name? And I told him like, oh, I'm transitioning and this is more appropriate for my gender. And, and like, and if there's anyone who objects to it in the courtroom, say it now. And then nobody said anything, obviously, and so it went through. It just took some
Oh,
time.
The thing
oh,
that makes
that's
me
a
chuckle,
dangerous thing. That you could have transphobes just fill up the courtroom.
yeah,
Yeah, but the purpose is like they want to make sure you're not changing your name to avoid, I don't
Yeah.
know, like paying debts or trying to like scam someone.
Oh yeah,
Like
I
you're not,
get
or like
that.
a fugitive trying to run away from the law because you
I
have a arrest warrant.
I could have already changed my name. I'm not sure about my gender marker. I think I could, but I've already changed. I could already change my name.
The
It's just
passport.
I don't have the. It's just I don't have the. I don't have the cost. I can't pay the cost of bureaucracy right now.
Oh yeah, they're like hundreds of dollars spending on it to like file the petition and then like various paperwork. I probably spent like I don't know, like maybe $500 total to change my name.
Holy fuck!
I'm chuckling away here right now because and it's whole. I apologize for doing it, Brittany, but
It's
you know,
it is really absurd.
it's
I don't
just
blame
and
you.
the reason why I'm picking you, Brittany, rather than May, is because there's that old redcoats English, what's it, 1776 independent stuff.
Yeah.
Because I am a subject of the Queen, and yet I can change my name like that. I can change my name in an hour if I
Well,
want.
blame one of the blame
Um,
the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and our counties for having such weird laws.
well, the laws are because I'm a subject of the Queen, and yet you're an independent nation, and yet everybody's registered. Whereas the only nearest they got to registering everybody here is you get born and they issue you a birth certificate. That's
Yeah,
it.
we have like oh yeah, like we have Social Security, which wasn't meant to be like an important ID at first, but it became one. Like
But
Social
that's
Security number.
but you
It's
see,
like
when I changed my name by deed poll,
mhm.
all I needed to do was get in contact with Social Security and the bank and my doctors and my landlord and where everywhere anybody, my bills, gas, electric, water, etc., etc. I just get in contact with them and I say, I've changed my gender. Here's a copy of my. Well, I don't even have to tell them I've changed my gender. You can change it to from Joe Blogs to Joe Smith or whatever. But so I've changed my gender. My name is now so and so. Here's my deed poll. Please change your records. And because of the Equalities Act, they've got to. That's what they've got to do. They can't say,
That's
oh, well, The only difference is that if you're under 18, then obviously they, want you to get permission from your parents, kind of. But which can be unfortunate for some people. But in the general sense, it's easy.
that's how it basically works here. I send off a thing, and a money order or
One
whatever.
thing,
They change it. They send me back a thing saying that it's been changed, name and gender, and then I basically go around to everybody and say, "Here's my certificate. I changed my name. Changed my name. I just don't have to, $250 or so. It's
I
gonna
think the
cost me to
problem is
do it."
and there's another thing, like states have different laws of birth certificates. Like, and if I was born in a completely different state on the other side of the country, so if I want to alter my birth certificate, I have to fly over there to Phoenix, Arizona to get it changed.
Mm-hmm.
And if I want to change the gender marker on it, I'd have to get SRS, and I don't want that. So it's like really problematic.
Now, for my gender recognition, there's this long process. I was highly medicalized, and then eventually, when they say yes, you got gender dysphoria, you've then got to go through another system while you wait, and then you can get your all the people that made decisions about whether you're transgendered or not and what you've done and all that kind of stuff. They then get together as a panel and say, yes, this person is female in their head, and so you can now change your gender recognition. Your birth certificate. You can get a new birth certificate which says female. Now,
So
in other parts, my NHS records, I am now a female on there. And if I get a passport, because I've got a passport for going to America last September. In fact, last September I was in America at this point for a friend's funeral and my cyber mum's funeral. Only 3 people knew it at the time. The 30 people that were there, and my passport. All I have to do to become a female on the UK passport is to get fill in the form on the internet, fill in the form, mail it to them with a copy of my deed poll, and I can put female under it.
basically how it works for me.
Yeah.
So
Apparently, I'd
although
have to get a letter from a doctor to change that.
okay, you
saying
don't need
that I had
necessarily.
treatment, saying I had treatment for transition, appropriate care for transition or whatever.
Okay, so you could probably convince a doctor to do that without getting bottom surgery. I mean,
Yeah,
if I would,
that's just
it would be hilarious if
statutes.
they got someone launched a human rights complaint years ago against the Ontario government and basically forced them to not require a GRS for the gender marker change. It would be hilarious if I did, if they still did, because I'd be like, "Joke's on you, I still have a dick." But yeah, actually, my friend Kara, she was born in Manitoba, which is the province over that way, to the west. And she is having nothing but problems getting her information. Even, and oh, you're still there, hey Kara. And another friend of mine was born in uh Nova Scotia, I think, and she's having a hell of a time getting them to change it. And you can't really change a whole lot here without having that shit done. It's really annoying. I mean, there are options for people from other countries who've like who basically can't do it. There are options for changing the Canadian stuff, but um, not. But they won't let you do it if you're from another province here in Ontario. They'll say go deal with the province. Like,
Yeah,
it's really annoying.
I wish I could like get it dealt with Pennsylvania, because Pennsylvania is easier to change stuff than Arizona would be apparently. I heard that Arizona requires GRS, but they don't say explicitly on their website. So I don't know. I don't want to go all the way. I want to book a flight to Philly to Phoenix just to be turned down.
All right, you have to go there.
Yeah, I was told by someone that I would have to go there in person. And that's a hassle because America is such a big country that I just would need to like do like take like a lot of time to and money. Unless my parents are going to go to Phoenix, Arizona, I can tag along them, but they're probably not. They are going to California on a business trip, and my mom's tagging along with. But I wasn't born in California. I imagine California would be a hell lot better, because it's super progressive with their policy on that.
I mean,
Hell, they even legally recognize non-binary genders on
nice.
their documents. But Pennsylvania is going to do that soon, though. So next year I could, if I wanted to.
I mean, I would consider getting a different gender marker on my ID, but I wouldn't want an X. I would want like F/M. Yeah.
Well, apparently Pennsylvania has been unofficially doing it, but you don't get an X, you would get a U.
Okay.
For undetermined.
Undetermined, okay, or universal or unisex.
Undetermined, apparently.
That just sounds weird, doesn't it? Like, who are you? Who knows? Undetermined.
I mean, apparently there was already a way for them to do it because of like drunk driving cases, and they wouldn't have that information always, so they would just leave someone as like undetermined in like the court records or something in transcript.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm just really frustrated. I can't even.
Yeah, I'm frustrated at like the passport office. But and also insurance and so many things. But this week I'm gonna be productive since I have a little time off from work because my assignment ended a little early. So I'm kind of out of work a little. But I got other means of income. And speaking of that, like I just wanna, just want to focus on that so I can plan it out, and maybe I should just head off.
Yeah.
It's been good. It's good, everyone.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thanks for coming in.
Good night.
Yeah.
Take care, Brittany.
Thank you. Bye.
And yeah, I guess we will wind down the show and end it at that. Thanks for watching, everybody. And we will catch you next time on whatever we're doing. So that's it for this one, and have a good one, eh?
Bye-bye.